Good afternoon. My name is Peter Awn, and I am the Dean of the School of General Studies, and happily so. On behalf of the Columbia faculty and deans and the staff of GS, I want to welcome you to the Class Day ceremony celebrating the accomplishments of the 2015 graduates of Columbia's Postbaccalaureate Premedical Pre-Health program. Give them a round of applause. I would also like to welcome the members of the Columbia faculty who have been your mentors and champions over the past years. Welcome as well to our student speaker, Mr. Reuben Heyman-Kantor, who is soon to be a medical student at Columbia's College of Physicians and Surgeons. We are particularly grateful to Dr. George Heinrich, Associate Dean of Admissions at New Jersey Medical School, for enthusiastically agreeing to deliver today's keynote address. Dr. Heinrich has been for many years one of the Postbac program's staunchest supporters. The Columbia Postbac program is the oldest in the country and designed to push students to levels of intellectual and scientific discovery that they never thought possible. Postbacs embody a passionate commitment to healing, which they demonstrate through incredibly hard work in their academic program and in the many hours they spend on volunteer work. You are scientists, but also humanists, artists, and social scientists, all dedicated to the pursuit of knowledge and the alleviation of suffering. I'm convinced that you enter upon your careers in healthcare fully equipped to engage and grapple with all of the challenges that you will face. I want you to know how proud we are of your accomplishments and how proud we are that you are lifelong members of the Columbia family. I now have the privilege of introducing to you our keynote speaker, Dr. George F. Heinrich. George Heinrich is Associate Dean of Admissions and Adjunct Professor in the Department of Preventive Medicine and Community Health at Rutgers, New Jersey Medical School. He will be the first to tell you that the high point of the year is when he calls each newly admitted medical student to welcome them to New Jersey Medical School. Dr. Heinrich recognized long before his medical peers the critical importance of technology and biotech to the advancement of healthcare. He serves as Vice Chair and CEO of the not-for-profit New Jersey Health Foundation, which provides grants to advance innovative research and education programs in New Jersey. And its not-for-profit subsidiary, the Foundation Venture Capital Group, which supports the formation of biotech and health-related startup companies in New Jersey. Educated at Cornell and New Jersey Medical School, Dr. Heinrich pursued a residency in internal medicine. For over 20 years, Dr. Heinrich served as chair of the Board of Trustees for New York Hospital Queens and the Silvercrest Center for Nursing and Rehabilitation. In honor of his service as chair of the board, the Lang Research Center of New York Hospital Queens holds annually the George F. Heinrich Symposium. Dr. Heinrich also served as a trustee of the New York Presbyterian Healthcare System. Currently, he's a member of the New York Weill Cornell Council. In 2014, Dr. Heinrich was the recipient of two major awards that epitomize the extraordinary contributions he continues to make to healthcare. The Lester Z. Lieberman Legacy Award for Humanism in Healthcare and the Edward J. Eel Award for Excellence in Medicine. One of the citations captures in a compelling way who Dr. Heinrich is and the impact he has had. The citation reads, Dr. Heinrich is recognized for his career-long commitment to providing compassionate, empathetic, culturally sensitive medical care to patients, for his exceptional work with medical students and young doctors to foster those humanistic values in their work, and for his unending generosity, sharing his time and expertise with friends, colleagues, and their friends, family, and colleagues to connect them to the care that they need. Dr. Heinrich and his wife, Deborah, a 1984 graduate of Teachers College, are proud parents of two extraordinary sons, whom I have the privilege of knowing well. Andrew Heinrich is a 2013 graduate of Columbia College who is currently completing his DPhil at Oxford, after which he hopes to return to New York for medical school. And Mark Heinrich, sitting in the front row, is a junior at Columbia College who majors in, well, running the university. As chair of the Student Caucus of the University Senate, Mark has a direct influence on all major policy decisions at Columbia. My deanly powers pale in comparison. And if that isn't enough, Mark is a stellar student, and he will be interning this summer at the American Embassy in London. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to welcome to the podium the keynote speaker, Dr. George F. Heinrich.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ahn. This is a real privilege, and I have a few thoughts of introduction. First, I would like to say to Dean Rosner, please let us all look at these excited and happy students. You did it again. So it was a great job. And Dean Ahn, I'd like to just go a little bit further than what you said about this being the oldest program. It's also the best in the country. So it's important. It is also important, can't hear, okay? Is that better? Okay, that's great, because I just want to say something else about Dean Ahn, because we all recognize his outstanding leadership for building GS to support the Premed Postbac program, but it's also important to understand the incredible opportunities he provides to all the students at GS. And he's really done a great job, and what a program. I'm very proud to be here and have this privilege to share the excitement of your class day. This is a momentous event in your life, and having worked myself closely with the Columbia Postbac students for many years, I recognize the pivotal value of this program, since it provides the path for you to channel your life in a new direction. This event underscores your accomplishments, and I've had the personal honor to participate in these class day events for several years. I attend because I understand the serious commitment each of you has made to a career path and the dedication of the deans and faculty in this program to provide you the knowledge and tools to succeed. As you entered this program, you all chose to put your life on hold. Many of you had secure and well-paying positions. You all had a vision and the energy and passion to undertake this new journey, and focus on becoming physicians to make a difference in our world and serve our patients. I'm very proud that over the years, many graduates of this program have matriculated at New Jersey Medical School. Therefore, I qualify to have personal evidence of the success of those who completed this program before you. I tell medical students, and unfortunately sometimes colleagues, we treat patients, not diseases. And about 100 years ago, Dr. William Osler said it even better than I do. He said, the good physician treats the patient, treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient. And it's something that you'll hear as a theme because this is such a core concept which must be remembered every day. It is all about the patient. We can never forget that. In today's healthcare delivery model, we are pushed to allow less and less time with each patient. Depending on the delivery model in which we practice, we may be told how much time we're allowed to spend with a patient, which tests we can or cannot order, and which we must order. It now seems that almost every patient entering the emergency room gets a CT scan. I would not be surprised if we follow the airport metal detector model and soon, just to get it over with, we're going to put a CT scan in the entryway of an emergency room and get it done easy. This is so important because too frequently we rely on diagnostic tests to make diagnoses. We should get a good history because the patient knows best what is wrong or what has changed. We can make most diagnoses, or at least have a solid list of differential diagnoses through a thorough history and listening to our patient. Tests should be to confirm a diagnosis, not guess at diagnoses. We talk about routine tests and routine surgery. That bothers me. Nothing is routine. It may be frequently done, but not routine. There is patient risk in every test or procedure. The risk may be low, but still there is a risk. A simple phlebotomy, taking blood, can cause bleeding or infection. There is risk, unusual, but it happens. We also are eager to do tests to substitute for strategic thinking and diagnosing. I teach students, why do a test if we're not going to do anything with the result to change our treatment? Even if we know the test will produce an abnormal result, we should consider not doing the test if it doesn't change the treatment. Naturally, we need to document our reasons and decisions, but we want to minimize the risk for the patient. And tests increase risk of harm to our patients. The Hippocratic Oath has us recite, "We shall do no harm." We need to remember that. We must have only one standard. That is a standard of excellence. Nothing less can be tolerated. This standard applies not only to the standard of care provided, but how we interact with patients and colleagues, how we interact with families, and how we communicate with everyone. We cannot over-communicate with our patients. I always ask patients, students, applicants, anyone with whom I interact, if they have any questions. I can tell from the quality of the question if I was clear. If I was not clear, it is my challenge to make myself clear. It is not the patient's responsibility to interpret what I say. Patients are stressed out of their mind when they visit a doctor, go to the emergency room, or are concerned about their health. Our blood pressures increase when we visit a doctor's office or emergency room. Nobody goes to the emergency room for fun. It is always serious. In fact, did you ever check your blood pressure right before a biotest? If you did, you know what I mean. One of our other responsibilities is to calm down patients so they can provide the best history and hear what we say to them. This is not always easy for anyone. Even healthcare providers get stressed and have pressures. However, we cannot take that out on our patients. We always need to be there for the patient. Interacting with patients is an art, and we get better with experience and should learn from good role models. I'm sure each of us or a family member has been to a physician where we feel the physician may have not been quite as focused or didn't quite listen to us. We can learn from good and bad role models. So we can learn from someone like that and know that we need to interact better. We must also protect our profession by becoming advocates for our patients and our profession. Do not accept the status quo. Just because something's published in the New England Journal of Medicine doesn't make it right. We need to read critically, we need to think, and we need to challenge. We must take back to us the responsibility that physicians gave up 3, 4, 5 decades ago when we abdicated our responsibility of running healthcare to the politicians. We need to take that back now. Much of healthcare revolves around costs. We must be mindful of the economics, but the first level of responsibility is to our patients. As new healthcare delivery models emerge, we must speak up for our patients. We must learn to question and assess everything we do and determine how we best leverage our activities to benefit our patients. As technology advances, we rely more on devices. Healthcare professionals have become preoccupied with entering data. Do you talk to your friends and family, or do you text, Facebook, tweet, etc. instead? Think about it. Will you speak, I mean really communicate, face-to-face with your patients, or just enter data and answers in an electronic medical record? These cultural trends reduce the true direct communication with our patients. Keep reminding yourself to communicate. Put yourself in your patient's place. How would I feel with that type of communication? When I interview applicants, I always think to myself, how would I feel if I were this student's patient? If I'm uncomfortable and want to run out of the room, that is not good. So communication becomes very important. It is important for us to assess ourselves and look at ourselves as others see us. This is personal accountability, and is a great force to help each of us to strive for excellence. Part of striving for excellence is always to continue our personal learning. We are lifelong students and teachers, whether for ourselves, our patients, or anyone with whom we interact. We need to have many interests and be curious. Ask questions. Challenge ourselves and others to learn. You have an incredible educational platform from Columbia. Your advisors here are passionate and dedicated. Leverage this background and support to your next experience. It will make a difference for you You should remember and acknowledge the support you enjoyed from your family and friends. By the way, you will likely continue to need their support in medical school. Remember to thank them. They deserve it. You cannot thank them enough. Actually, why don't we just thank them right now? We all benefit from the support of those around us. I have been very fortunate to always have strong support from my wife and our sons to encourage me during my career. Deciding to become a physician carries many responsibilities. No one has forced us to become a physician. We have chosen that profession. It is a privilege to care for someone else. It is also a personal responsibility, which requires dedication, accountability, professionalism, integrity, and the service to our patients. We must hold ourselves to the highest possible standards. We are accountable to all whom we serve and to our families. We must uphold the highest level of professional conduct and ethical standards. However, the ultimate accountability is to look in the mirror and ask, have I done the very best I can? And follow that with, how do I do it better? No matter how well we do anything, we can always strive to improve. You will touch and serve thousands of patients during your career. Just imagine what each of you can achieve to improve the quality of life of everyone you encounter. The privilege of caring with passion changes the lives of others. What better legacy can we all give to our world? Thank you again for this opportunity. Good luck, and always strive for excellence. Congratulations all.
Thank you, Dr. Heinrich, for your inspiring words and for being such a great friend to the Postbac program. Good afternoon. I'm Andrew Sunshine, Director of the Postbac program, and the time has now come to recognize the Postbacs who have just completed Columbia's preposterously difficult, allegedly impossible pre-medical curriculum, the source of their superpowers in the years to come. I will soon summon each candidate to this podium to be congratulated by the deans, Dr. Heinrich and the faculty, and to receive their alumni pins from Ashley White Stern, Postbac 2014, PMA President Emerita, and PNS Class of 2018. Before doing so, I want to take a moment to recognize some of the members of the academic entourage. First, I'd like to mention the Postbac advisors, Limari Carrasquillo, Mike Allen, and Sharon Fanning, who guide our Postbacs with enthusiasm, wit, sagacity, empathy, and fondness. Next, I want to acknowledge Professors Deborah Mauschowitz, Joel Gersten, Bob Pollack, who I saw out there somewhere, Mariah Pollack, Lisi Hazen, Joseph Ulichny, Sarah Hansen, and all other faculty, present or not. Thanks to their erudite teachings, our candidates will soon leave this campus to begin their professional studies better prepared than graduates from any other institution. Let's express our gratitude for their scholarship, wisdom, and commitment to our students. Now, while the deans, Dr. Heinrich, and the faculty come forward to form the receiving line, I have a request to make of the assembly. Please hold your applause and your cheers until the last postbac has been called to stand forth. We want every name to sound clearly as the candidates cross the podium. It is now my privilege, my honor, and indeed my thrill to summon each of the candidates to the podium by name. John Warwick. Denise Marte. Catherine Ottaviano. Robert Pollock. Laura Parker. Kelsey Metla. Corin Kinkabwala. Eric Campano. Shutao Wang. Albert Lee. Carly Nicole Ray. Kathleen Lozada. Andrew Proto. Adam Reisman. Margot Yopes. David Andreessen. Richard Jones. Mary McHugh. Danielle Gollum. Gabriela Petrongolo. Sarah Leibovich. Stephanie Hart. Sarah Karen. Shelby Crawley. Michelle Hutt. Corinne Corbett. Isaac Hughes. Catherine Redfield. Ying Zhou. Nicholas Ramsey. Zoe Greenfield. Helen Reevely. Gabriella Prosper Blissett. Luke Schmidt. Bobak Hedayati. Reina Advani. Sarah Linnell. John Schubeck. Younghee Jung. Rebecca Kogan. Caitlin Cody. Robert James. Miriam Campias. Angela Sanchez. Elizabeth McMillan. Hannah Levine. Daniel Camrus. Benjamin Morrison. Amelia Levy. Eugenie Lehombre Shah. Monica Deep. Adam Chambers. Javier Galindo. Jennifer Lindelof. Gwendolyn Cody. Jared West. Reuben Heyman-Kantor. Thomas McCarthy. Benjamin Azriel. Emily Mannix. Kendrick Campbell. Christian Georgiev. Supreet Singh. Alexander Hoogland. Sarah Korderman. Matthew Wright. Emily Fry. Adil Iqbal. San Kim. Christine Kim. Yuhan Gu. Emma Marquez. Elizabeth Conley. Now let's hear it for all the graduates. The annals of the Postbac program abound in worthy exemplars. These include quite a few who in their pre-Postbac lives put themselves in harm's way for the sake of a loved one or their country. Our next speaker is unusual for having risked his life for the sake of a story. Now, if you forgot to turn off your smartphone, try searching the CBS website for "Can this 60 Minutes producer outrun a dog?" As you will discover, Reuben didn't run far before the dog, trained to apprehend enemy soldiers, latched onto his arm and brought him tumbling to the ground. By the time this story aired, however, Reuben had gone far as a journalist, having won Emmy and Peabody Awards. But he had also gone far in contemplating his life's purpose and soon found himself at Columbia, bolting across the fields of chemistry, physics, and biology alongside many of you here today. Reuben Heyman-Kantor, a 2006 Swarthmore College graduate, begins medical school this summer at Columbia's College of Physicians and Surgeons. Please welcome him to this podium to address the class of 2015.
Thank you, Dean Sunshine, for that wonderful introduction. Can you guys hear me in the back? Is it clear? More? Higher? Is that better? Good? All right. Dean Rosner, Dr. Heinrich, distinguished members of the faculty, deans, and fellow graduates of Columbia's Postbaccalaureate Premedical program, class of 2015. It gives me great pleasure that today, finally, we can all say we are no longer college students. Mom, it took me 30 years, but I promise there's no more college for me. Most of us had careers before enrolling in this program. Some of us worked in finance, teaching, consulting, finance consulting. There are at least a few dancers and artists among us. Before coming here, I was a journalist. After college, I spent 6 years working for CBS News, primarily as a reporter for 60 Minutes. What drew me to journalism was the advice a former college advisor and former NPR producer once gave me. He told me that being a journalist means getting paid to teach yourself about the world. As a college student, that sounded like a pretty good deal to me. Working at 60 Minutes, I traveled to Afghanistan, went with Jane Goodall to Tanzania to meet her famous chimpanzees, and reported on and saw a good deal of the United States. And I also got tackled by that dog. My professional life gave me an endless stream of good stories. And I think some of those stories helped convince my wife, Michelle, to marry me. She is here today. And then one day I came home and I told Michelle that I wanted to quit my job and go back to college. And for some reason, she wasn't that excited. I then told her that the Postbac program started the same September week that she was due to give birth to our first child. So that's why I started the program in January. She did support me, though. She told me I had to do what would make me happy. And for that, I will always be grateful. Now, I know not all of us in this program have spouses to thank, but we all have people in our lives who have made real sacrifices for us. And I hope you'll all join me in a round of applause for the moms, dads, siblings, relatives, friends, and significant others who have stood by us during these, at times, difficult years. I'm trying to take Dr. Heinrich's advice as fast as possible. Leaving 60 Minutes was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but I did it because I wanted to help people in need in a more meaningful way than I felt I could as a journalist. I think what unites all of us here in the Columbia Postbac program is the faith that we can do good through medicine, more good than we were doing in our previous lives. But it's just that, it's faith. None of us really knows what it means to be a doctor, what the rest of this journey will be like. We've all spoken with doctors who have plenty of really good things to say about medicine and plenty of not so good things to say as well. But you can't know what being a doctor is like from speaking with doctors or shadowing doctors or from completing a postbac program. What we all have in this room is faith that taking this huge risk will be worth it. For me, 2009 was when I first realized I wanted to be a doctor. My stepfather had a heart attack while visiting relatives in Baltimore, and I rushed down to be with him in New York, him and my mother. By the time I arrived at the hospital, doctors had already inserted stents into the arteries of his heart and told him that he would be out of the hospital in a couple days and back to his old life in a few weeks. I was working on a story about the US military's drone program in Iraq and Afghanistan at the time, And I remember sitting in my stepfather's hospital room once we knew everything would be all right and getting back to work on my story. I was trying to reach the press attaché at the Iraqi embassy in Washington to figure out what the Iraqi government thought of the US drone program. I felt like I was making phone calls while doctors all around me were saving lives. Their work just seemed more meaningful to me. I know many of you had similar experiences that led you here. It took me several years to finally apply to the Postbac program, in part because I was scared. I knew trying to go into medicine would be an unbelievable undertaking, would require me to reinvent myself, and that it might not work out. Fear is definitely something that we all had in common in this program. Staying at 60 Minutes seemed like the safer path to me, but when I worked on stories that touched on medicine, that voice in the back of my head wouldn't go away. In 2010, a massive earthquake hit Haiti, and 60 Minutes sent a team down to the earthquake zone, and I worked on the story from New York. The story focused on an American doctor who had gone down to do what he could to help people trying to survive in an impossible situation. Our 60 Minutes story bore witness to that tragedy and probably helped raise a lot of money for earthquake relief. But combing through footage, I knew that it would be more meaningful to me to be the doctor treating people than the journalist telling their stories. To say I knew it would be more meaningful is probably too strong, but I believed it. I had faith. Many of us can tell good stories about why we want to be doctors, but good stories don't get you into medical school. Good grades at Columbia gets you into medical school. This program was tough, academically and psychologically. You know, when you have a job at some point, hopefully, when you've been working for a while, you get comfortable. You figure out the ropes. In this program, every exam seemed like a high-stakes job interview, where you're being evaluated and judged, hoping you're fully prepared, and afraid your best isn't good enough. By my count, that means over the last 2 years, we all had about 35 job interviews. That's a lot of job interviews, and none of us has a job. It was draining and relentless, and getting to today is a really big deal. We took some of the toughest undergraduate courses in the country, and getting this certificate means we are as capable as any medical school applicants anywhere. Dr. Heinrich, did you hear that? All right, good. Just wanted to make sure. I think among the best courses we took were Professor Mauschwitz's biology classes, and I'm not just saying that because she's here today or because she hasn't submitted our grades yet. Medicine is full of unknowns, and doctors are constantly applying information they've learned in one setting to other situations, or so I've been told. You can't memorize your way to becoming a good doctor, and you can't memorize your way to getting good grades on Professor Mauschwitz's exams. I think her class taught me, and all of us, how to think a little bit more like scientists. That sounds good. And maybe a little more like doctors. There were moments in this program where the workload was staggering, and times, maybe all the time, when it was hard to see the relationship between what we were doing and our goal of becoming doctors, when it was hard to keep faith that it was all worth it. Recently, another health crisis brought home to me why it is worth it. As I mentioned, I have a son. His name's Alex, and he's 20 months old now. And last month, he got sick. He spiked a fever, and then suddenly he started having real difficulty breathing. It got so bad you could see his ribs on every breath as he struggled to keep air coming in to his lungs. We rushed him to the hospital on a Saturday night at about 10 o'clock. Minutes after we arrived, a doctor came to see us, examined Alex, and explained what the next steps would be. She put Alex first on oxygen, then on albuterol, and finally on steroids. And like magic, he went back to being himself. We were home in less than 12 hours. That doctor may have saved my son's life. And I don't think there's anything more meaningful than the power she had to save our family. And that's why we're here today, because we want so badly to be that doctor for thousands of other families that we are willing to start over and risk falling short to make it happen. To enroll in this program took guts and faith and a willingness to take a big, calculated gamble with our professional lives to help other people. To me, getting to today means for all of us that gamble is beginning to pay off. We've proven at Columbia, one of the top universities in the country, that we deserve to be and are capable of becoming doctors. Just as important, in the exam room, in the laboratory, and through late nights at the library, we've proven it to our professors, to each other, and to ourselves. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Reuben. I'm Victoria Rosner, Senior Associate Dean of the Postbac Premed program. And before we strike up the music and start toasting the graduates, I want to reflect with you for just a moment about what these students have achieved and why this milestone in their education matters so much. It doesn't seem, at least to me, like very long ago, that you were all sitting in a postbac planning session, introducing yourselves and talking about the journey that led you to careers in healthcare. You had great expectations and maybe more than a little concern about your ability to rise to the challenges that lay ahead. Many of you hadn't studied the sciences in years, if indeed you ever had. And roughly 2 years later, here we are, surrounded by friends and family, and with every reason to celebrate. Congratulations, class of 2015. You made it. You proved to us, and more importantly, to yourselves, that you are ready for what lies ahead, able to achieve that career in medicine on which, as Reuben just told us, you staked your faith. You have toiled these past few years in classrooms, in laboratories, and in hospital wards. You have deepened your understanding of the natural world and the miraculous organisms that inhabit it. You have laid a strong and broad foundation for the next stage of your training. And you have given of your time and talent to enrich our community through the student organizations you have created and strengthened, the colleagues you have tutored and mentored, and the camaraderie that you have created. All these your gifts to us. Thank you so much. And thank you also to the friends and family here today, without whose support you might not be here now. Class of 2015, you came to Columbia with tremendous and established talents and accomplishments. You held undergraduate and graduate degrees from some of the finest institutions in the world. You had already launched impressive careers in business, law, the arts, social work, and many more. You were documentary filmmakers, electrical engineers, military veterans, venture capitalists, and yoga instructors. You are still, marvelously, all of that. But now you are also scientists, and soon you will be doctors and dentists and veterinarians. The diverse experiences you bring to the health professions will, I am confident, make you better communicators and more compassionate providers of care. In 1959, the chemist and novelist C.P. Snow famously explicated and derided what he saw as the growing division between two cultures, one scientific and one literary intellectual. Increasingly, he feared, these two cultures lacked any knowledge of or respect for one another. Great thinkers, he wrote, like Pascal and Goethe, bridged the two cultures and were able to make enormous contributions to civilization as a result. I like to think that our graduates are also now denizens of both worlds. combining undergraduate training in the humanities and social sciences with the science that you have studied at Columbia. For Snow, those individuals who could straddle the two cultures were destined to be the leading lights of our time. As he wrote, quote, "With good fortune, we can educate a large proportion of our better minds so that they are not ignorant of imaginative experience, both in the arts and in science, not ignorant either of the endowments of applied science, of the remediable suffering of most of their fellow humans, and of the responsibilities which, once they are seen, cannot be denied." In Lord Snow's terms, you leave here with this special and rare blend of talents, experiences, and training that best equips individuals to alleviate human suffering. C.P. Snow would, I think, likely recognize a contemporary in Dr. Oliver Sacks, who was, until 2012, professor of neurology and psychiatry at Columbia University's Medical Center, where he was also designated the first Columbia University artist. In Sacks's 1973 book, Awakenings, he writes, "When I was young, I was torn between two passionate, conflicting interests and ambitions, the pursuit of science and the pursuit of art. I found no reconciliation until I became a physician." I think both of our speakers today have shown us through their remarks how the finest practitioners of healing are artists as well as scientists. Our postbac students, with their wide-ranging intellectual curiosity, their diverse talents and skills, and their commitment to ameliorate suffering, braid together the seeming antinomies of science and imagination. They are, I believe, the future of medicine. Class of 2015, I know that this is not the end of the educational road for you, but a new beginning, another new beginning. What I wish for all of you is that the pride and sense of accomplishment you feel today will buoy you up in the challenges that lay ahead. Many of you came into this program thinking, can I really do this? Am I cut out for a career in medicine? Today, I think you know you can. Never let that faith in yourself waver. Our faith in you certainly never will. This may be graduation, but we will always be here for you for advice, assistance, and fellowship. We will also be calling on you to mentor the generations that will follow and to remain a part of our extraordinary community. Please stay in touch with us and allow us to continue to cheer you on and support you in your ascent to great achievement. Congratulations once more to you all. And with that, I declare this ceremony concluded and invite you all to join us in the faculty room behind the rotunda for a celebratory reception. I will see you there.